Jax had seen his dog react to things before: squirrels, delivery drones, even a rusted-out rover, but never like this. Max, his loyal German shepherd, was standing stiffly in the orange-tinted grass of their outpost's backyard, ears pinned forward, tail raised like a battle standard. A low, guttural growl rumbled in his throat as he stared toward the thicket at the property's edge. Jax knew that growl. It was the one Max only used when something was really, truly wrong. "What is it, boy?" Jax murmured, setting down the worn-out plasma cutter he'd been using to fix the skimmer's faulty manifold. He wiped his hands on his fatigues, reaching for the pistol strapped to his thigh. This colony was remote, the farthest settlement on the fringe of the Terran expansion, which meant two things. 1, the next closest human was at least 100 clicks away, and 2, the only visitors out here were either planned or very, very bad news. Max didn't move, just kept staring, muscles coiled like a spring. Then, suddenly, he barked, sharp, commanding, and bolted forward. Jax cursed, yanking the pistol free as he sprinted after his dog. Max was fast, but Jax had trained with the best back on Earth before joining the Colonial Corps, and he was on the dog's heels within seconds. They broke into the thicket, leaves rustling against Jax's uniform as he pushed through. The thick scent of the alien foliage filled his nose, a strange blend of citrus and something faintly metallic. But that wasn't what caught his attention. It was the body. Or rather, the thing that was almost a body. Jax slowed, leveling his weapon as his pulse pounded in his ears. The creature was humanoid, but that was about where the similarities ended. Its skin shimmered like liquid mercury, shifting between hues of blue and green as though its body hadn't quite decided what color it should be. Its limbs were too long, its fingers tapering to elegant, almost claw-like points. Blood, or what Jax assumed was blood, leaked from a deep gash along its side, soaking the mossy ground beneath it in a sickly violet hue. Max stood protectively over the being, glancing back at Jax with something oddly human in his eyes: concern. Jax exhaled sharply. Well, shit. The alien stirred, its eyelids fluttering open. The eyes were unlike anything Jax had ever seen. Deep, star-speckled pools, like staring into the heart of the cosmos. The being flinched at the sight of him, attempting to push itself up, only to let out a sharp, pained gasp. Jax hesitated. He should report this. The Colonial Corps had strict protocols about encountering unknown life forms, and step 1 was always containment and assessment. But Max wasn't growling anymore. If anything, he was whining softly, nudging at the alien's arm with his nose. Jax sighed. "You better not make me regret this, buddy." He holstered his weapon and knelt beside the creature. "Hey, can you understand me?" The alien's gaze locked onto his. Then, with an effort that seemed to cost it dearly, it rasped out a single word in a voice like wind through shattered glass. "Danger." Jax's blood ran cold. That was never a good word to hear from an injured stranger in the middle of nowhere. He glanced around, suddenly hyper-aware of the quiet pressing in from the forest. Too quiet. The usual hum of insects, the distant calls of native avians, gone. It was the kind of silence that only meant one thing. Something else was out there. Something worse. Jax's instincts screamed at him to grab Max and get back to the outpost, but the look in the alien's eyes told him that leaving it here meant certain death. He made his decision in an instant. "All right, buddy, let's get you out of here." He hooked an arm under the alien's shoulder, hoisting it up with a grunt. The thing was lighter than expected, almost alarmingly so. Max stayed close, his ears twitching, nose constantly working as if trying to pick up whatever threat lurked nearby. They stumbled back toward the outpost, Jax's grip tightening as he forced himself to move faster. The hairs on the back of his neck prickled, every instinct screaming that they were being watched. Stalked. Then he heard it. A low, clicking chitter, almost mechanical in sound, like a swarm of insects speaking in unison. Jax didn't need to look to know they were in deep shit. The enemy was here. And they weren't alone. As the first shadow moved in the trees, Max let out a snarl, and Jax tightened his grip on the alien. They weren't going to make it back without a fight. And if the stories about these things were true, if the rumors from the other fringe colonies held any weight, then a fight might be the last thing Jax ever got. But he wasn't about to roll over and die. Not today. The first shot cracked through the dense foliage, splitting the eerie silence like a jagged bolt of lightning. Jax barely had time to react before the second shot followed, this one striking the tree beside him, sending bark splintering into the air. Max barked, a sharp, urgent sound that snapped Jax into motion. "Move! Move!" Jax shouted, half dragging, half carrying the wounded alien as he ducked behind a fallen tree trunk. The chittering sounds intensified, growing closer, and he could see movement, glimpses of sleek, insectoid forms shifting through the dense alien undergrowth. The rumors were true. The Vraeken had found them. Jax slammed his back against the log, his breath coming in harsh, ragged gasps. He risked a glance at the alien beside him. It was trembling, eyes wide with pain and fear, but it forced out another word. "Run." Jax gritted his teeth. Running wasn't an option. The outpost was still too far, and he knew these things weren't about to let them just slip away. They needed a plan, and they needed one fast. He checked his pistol, half a charge left. Not nearly enough. Max, ever vigilant, growled low in his throat, his fur bristling. Jax could feel the pressure of impending combat pressing down on him. He needed to turn the odds, even if just for a moment. A flash of movement. Another shot rang out. This time, Jax fired back, his plasma round cutting through the dim light, striking one of the shadowy figures dead center. The creature let out a shriek, collapsing into a heap of twitching limbs. For a brief moment, the chittering paused. That's when Jax made his move. He grabbed a smoke grenade from his belt, yanked the pin, and hurled it into the trees. Thick, white vapor billowed out instantly, obscuring their position. "Max, with me," Jax ordered, slinging the alien's arm over his shoulder and pushing forward through the haze. The smoke would only buy them seconds, but seconds were enough. Blaster fire erupted behind them, wild and unfocused. The Vraeken were blind in the smoke, but Jax knew that wouldn't last long. He wove through the trees as fast as he could, his legs burning, every instinct screaming at him to go faster. Max led the way, his keen senses picking up a path even through the chaos. Jax followed, his grip tightening on the alien, who was growing weaker by the second. Then the ground beneath them gave way. Jax barely had time to register the drop before he was falling, tumbling into the darkness of a hidden ravine. He landed hard, the breath punched from his lungs. Max yelped somewhere nearby, and the alien let out a pained groan. Jax blinked against the darkness, his mind scrambling to process what just happened. Above them, the chittering of the Vraeken grew more distant. They had lost their pursuers, for now. He groaned as he pushed himself up, reaching for his flashlight. The beam flickered to life, revealing damp rock walls and the hint of something metallic glinting deeper in the ravine. Max sniffed the air, his ears twitching. The alien, barely conscious now, managed to whisper a single word. "Safe." Jax wasn't sure yet, but one thing was clear, this wasn't just some random hole in the ground. There was something down here. Something old. Something hidden. And whatever it was, it just might be their only way out. Jax steadied his breath as the dim glow from his flashlight revealed more of the cavernous space beneath the ravine. Max's ears flicked as he sniffed the air, cautious but not alarmed. That was a good sign. The alien beside him, though weakened, kept its otherworldly gaze fixed forward. The pain was evident in its posture, but there was something else too: recognition. "What is this place?" Jax muttered, sweeping his light across the walls. Metallic structures jutted from the stone, their surfaces smooth and curved, unlike anything nature would have created. The air held a strange charge, like the static before a storm. The alien's lips parted, barely forming words. "Sanctuary." Jax wasn't sure what to make of that, but his gut told him this place was important. Maybe even their key to surviving the Vraeken hunting them above. He moved forward cautiously, his hand steady on his pistol. The chamber widened, revealing a control panel embedded in the rock, no dust, no corrosion, as if it had been waiting for someone to find it. The alien reached out weakly, pressing a trembling hand to the panel. Light flared as symbols scrolled across the surface. A deep hum filled the space, and suddenly, walls that had once seemed solid split apart, revealing a hidden corridor leading deeper into the structure. Jax exchanged a glance with Max, who merely huffed and wagged his tail. "Guess we're going in." The group moved forward, the alien barely able to stand. Jax shouldered more of its weight, navigating the narrow path with growing unease. If this was a sanctuary, why did it feel abandoned? And why was the alien so desperate to reach it? Then, the silence was broken. A screech echoed from above, distorted and piercing. The Vraeken had found the ravine. "Shit," Jax hissed. "We need to move." Max growled, pacing anxiously as they reached the end of the corridor. Another door, this one massive and seamless, blocked their way. The alien raised a shaking hand to the control panel beside it, struggling to enter a sequence. Jax turned, raising his pistol just in time to see the first Vraeken drop into the ravine, its spindly form moving with an unsettling grace. More followed, their bioluminescent eyes locking onto him with an almost predatory glee. "Work faster," he barked, firing off a shot that struck the closest Vraeken in the chest. The creature shrieked but didn't go down. Jax gritted his teeth. Plasma wasn't enough. Max lunged at one of them, his powerful jaws clamping down on a leg. The Vraeken screeched, trying to shake the dog off, but Max held firm, buying Jax precious seconds. The door behind them hissed open. "Inside, now," Jax ordered, hauling the alien through as Max released his grip and darted in after them. The door sealed shut just as more Vraeken swarmed the corridor, their screeches cut off by the heavy metal barrier. Panting, Jax leaned against the wall. That was too close. The alien, despite its pain, managed a weak smile. Not over. Lights flickered to life around them, revealing a vast chamber filled with towering structures pulsing with energy. Strange, translucent orbs hovered in midair, shifting colors as they reacted to the presence of the newcomers. Jax's stomach dropped. This wasn't just a sanctuary. It was a weapon. The alien turned to him, a newfound urgency in its glowing eyes. "Need, activate." Jax's jaw tightened. They weren't just running anymore. They were about to make a stand. Jax moved quickly, his mind racing. The chamber thrummed with energy, the ancient technology responding to their presence. The alien, though weak, pressed a trembling hand against a console, activating a sequence of glowing symbols. Max stood at Jax's side, his ears perked and body tense, ready for whatever came next. The Vraeken weren't far behind, their screeches reverberating through the sealed door. Jax could almost feel the vibrations of their clawed limbs scraping at the metal. "Tell me this thing has defenses," Jax muttered, gripping his pistol even though he knew it wouldn't be enough. The alien gave a slow nod. "Yes. But need power, and you." Jax frowned. "Me." The alien gestured toward a secondary console that pulsed with an eerie blue light. Jax didn't understand the technology, but he understood urgency. He placed his hand on the panel, and instantly, a surge of energy coursed through him. Visions flashed in his mind, memories of the ancient race that had built this place, a people who had fought the Vraeken long before humanity ever reached the stars. They had created this sanctuary not just as a refuge, but as a weapon against the invaders. And now, Jax was their last hope. The chamber came to life. Walls shifted, revealing hidden emitters that began charging with crackling energy. The door trembled as the Vraeken outside let out an ear-splitting shriek. Then, with a blinding flash, a wave of pure energy surged outward, passing through Jax like a heartbeat of the planet itself. The screeching stopped. Jax staggered back, gasping as the vision faded. Max whined, nosing his leg as if to check if he was still alive. The alien clutched the console, breathing heavily but smiling, a quiet, knowing expression. Jax turned toward the door and slowly opened it. Outside, the Vraeken lay motionless, their chitinous bodies frozen in place, lifeless. Whatever the sanctuary had unleashed, it had wiped them out completely. Silence fell over the ravine, broken only by Jax's heavy breathing. He looked at the alien. That was the last of them, wasn't it? The alien nodded. Yes. Safe. Jax exhaled, holstering his weapon. Max wagged his tail cautiously, sensing the tension fading. The threat was over. The war, the fight that had spanned generations, had ended here, in an ancient tomb beneath an unassuming ravine. The alien turned to Jax, placing a hand on his shoulder. You, human. Different. Not destroy, but save. Jax gave a small, tired smile. Guess we're not all bad. The alien inclined its head. No. Hope. With the sanctuary now fully awakened, the technology here could be studied, understood, and used to ensure no other race suffered the way the ancient builders had. Jax had stumbled upon something greater than a battle. He had found a chance for the future. As he looked up at the alien sky, Max pressing against his leg, Jax understood the moral of it all. Power wasn't just about destruction. True strength came from knowing when to fight and when to save. He had come here as a soldier. He was leaving as something more. And humanity had just taken its next step forward.